Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we are making this here episode a drinking game.
Woo.
Anytime we say anything negative about a film, each other, life, you're going to hear this sound. That means we have to take a drink, and we hope you drink it along with us.
So, pour yourselves a glass. Let's get naked and run around and bark like a dog.
I feel like Dave always makes sure we know whenever he's filled up a mug to the fucking
The
top.
Stein. The fucking Stein
is
over there.
full to the
Fucking
top.
Stein.
It's like, pour yourselves a glass, because the guy...
It's going to get real.
Because the guy who made The Witch decided he needed to be louder. I know this isn't part of the review. If you guys see this in Dolby Cinema, I was like, I don't think I've ever... we've seen a lot of loud movies recently. That was the loudest movie I've ever seen.
I can picture the sound mixer going, no, it's Dolby specs. We don't push it this high. And he's like, fuck it.
I mean, the whole thing, not just like spiky highs or like deep lows. It was like the whole... I actually spent time, because it was so loud. It's a good movie, but I spent time in this movie thinking about those like alternate soundtracks. I'm sure you've seen those videos where they just play different soundtracks. The whole time I was like, what if this movie just was silent? What would it be like? Would it be the same movie? What if they put in like, I'm walking on sunshine, while they're like walking like the slaves across Iceland or whatever. Anyway.
Something had to stop that.
People, we are talking about the Northman. Director Robert Eggers. I was gonna count how many movies he's made, but it's actually more than I expected.
Something like 7 or something, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, it's not that high, actually. It's only his third. I was right. I thought it was. So The Witch was technically his first feature film that he directed, and then, of course, The Lighthouse and The Northman coming out swinging. What a guy. Robert Eggers' latest entry with a stellar cast. Nicole Kidman, people. Ethan Hawke. Willem, Dafoe. Anya Taylor Joy. Alexander Skarsgård. This is co-written by a guy named Sjón. But before we get into the Northman, why don't we go ahead and shout our people out? John, can you...
Is he aggressive by nature? What was that?
John, you want to shout our people out?
Sjón. Oh, yeah. We have a beer sponsor.
We haven't even started drinking yet.
You speak for yourself. Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right, we have a beer sponsor. His name is Carlos Barroso. You can follow him on Instagram, cbarroso.beer. If you want to go for that, it's in the show notes. Give him a follow. Love that guy. We have all of our music provided by the artist Dasein. That's Dasein. Check out the show notes to go to the SoundCloud link and download all the music for motherfucking free. Sjón!
It's all capitals too. It's all caps.
All right, go look at our link tree. Dave set up a link tree. You can find us all over the socials, YouTube. We're on TikTok now. Dave's making those videos for us before he heads off to Australia.
No one's dancing, I promise.
To go on a sojourn. Yeah, no teenagers dancing in our fucking TikTok. We always try to keep it spoiler free for a couple minutes. So if you have not yet seen this film, please go ahead and check it out. Please do stay with us till the end when we get to our recommendation section, because somebody in our group actually got to see The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent starring Nicolas Cage, which also came out this weekend. So you can hear a take on that. But you got to wait till the end of the episode, people. We got to tease you and string you along. And... any other news that you guys want to shout out before we get into the Northman?
I mean,
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is buying Twitter. Yes, I mean,
he is doing it. 44.
I care about as much about that as the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. To be honest, it's like
I care a lot more about it.
Yeah,
I care a lot more about it, but we'll see. Anything else? I guess
no. Let's hit it, dude. Let's fucking go for it.
The Northman. So as I said, Robert Eggers, who, if you're wondering what he looks like, just picture a self-portrait by Rembrandt where the guy looks really angry with a beard, and that's basically Robert Eggers. He is from New Hampshire, and he makes really dark, scary movies that are really cool. Totally
he's from
into
New Hampshire.
Witch, Lighthouse, and now Northman. He likes to reuse some of his actors, which is cool. As I said, good cast. Let's get right into the plot, because I think I've been chatty about this enough. From visionary director Robert Eggers.
Oh boy.
Wow, they put that in their own logline?
I love it how it's
That is in the blurb.
it's his third movie, and they're like, "Oh my god, what a visionary!"
Okay, he's made 2 really fucking out there films. If he doesn't have a following
They're
by
great.
now,
yeah.
like
Anyway, an action-filled epic that follows a young. No, he's a co-writer, man. He's an Oscar nominee. Have some respect. The
I want to
Oscars
change our buzz to that.
once gained respect. From visionary director Robert Eggers comes The Northman, an action-filled epic that follows a young Viking prince on his quest to avenge his father's murder. Rated R for strong, bloody violence.
Lots of that.
And some other
Jesus
shit. And the tagline, which no tagline can make a cool movie sound more cool. Tagline, conquer your fate. Sorry.
Conquer your fate. Sure.
Genres, action, adventure, drama, fantasy, history, and thriller, all spooled into one. Thank
So
you.
they can
I
get
get
it. It's like, let's just list them all so we can cover awards season at the Golden Globes.
Come on, dude.
By the
Yeah.
time you see this will not be in Dolby Cinema, but we saw it in Dolby Cinema. A couple of us saw it in Dolby Cinema, and it was
Yeah.
fucking fire. So that's it. Let's go ahead, try to keep it spoiler free for a little bit. People, what did you think of The Northman?
Did you
David?
find Nicole Kidman's other, like the second role she played in that a little like annoying?
The second role.
Yeah, where
Interesting way
she's
of
like,
putting that.
she literally like mansplains coming to AMC theaters at the beginning. That,
Oh,
like, the,
fuck. You son of a bitch. You had that joke prepped and ready to go.
You guys, how is your
You fell into
how
it.
is
You
New York
fell into
City? How is New York City reacting to that? The past 3 movies I've been to, so this is going on 3 or 4 weeks now. I may have even started with the Batman. We are hooting and hollering when she's coming out. First, we were like, "Fuck you!" We were like getting really sick of it. Now people are like, "Finally!" Like they're like, "Yeah!" Everyone just really, really.
yeah, they're like
It's turned into
either,
something.
It's either aggressively cheering or ironically cheering is happening in my theaters. Although I did notice a lot of the seats in front of me are like hitting me in the knees as people are like, like when we get to that bit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
at
think
least you get to that and you know the pre-show's over. The next thing you see is the movie.
I feel like we're over it, but I do hope, thanks for reminding me, Dave, I do hope that I can see Doctor Strange opening weekend on maybe Friday, because I feel like that's the kind of crowd that's going to like give entrance applause.
Oh yeah, yeah. Anyway, to the movie. I really I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest. I wasn't expecting a lot going in. And
Did you not like The Witch and the Light? I can't remember. Did you
Wait,
just
you
like
like
The
The
Witch?
Witch?
The Witch I kind of liked, yeah. Lighthouse is on my list of things I should have seen by now
Oh,
because I
well,
haven't
then-
seen it.
So why was your bar so low?
Just because I liked The Witch, but it was slow and like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it was one of those stories where you get guided along, and this one I found absolutely fucking enthralling.
Nice.
Like it grabbed me at the beginning,
Nice, dude.
and I'll
Plug,
tell you
go
what.
through our feed to listen to our episode about The Witch, where Dave likes it more than he's letting on right now. But go ahead. It's in our feed, people. The Witch.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We did like. We all liked it a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's
Like that one a lot.
It is. I just found it. Like I said, I just found it a little slow. But I'll tell you what. I think there are 3 films in modern history, like modern history. I'm talking about the last couple of years, that grab you right from the opening sound, and this is one of them.
Or the other two.
Dune,
Oh yeah. Now I'm dying to know the other two.
Dune and West Side Story.
Dune, wow.
Wow.
Oh wow.
A little recency
David.
bias there. Tight.
Recency bias.
Right.
Yeah.
Sean.
Anything else before I? Sean. I mean, it's God. I'm gonna hear that. The last thing I think about before I go to sleep. No, I know it is. I think I liked this movie. I don't think I loved it. We'll get into it more. I still would say it was definitely worth seeing in the theater, folks. This is a real spectacle. I mean, there's some really amazing, gripping, compelling imagery in here that you only see from, to make fun of what you were saying, Jeff, from visionary, risky, younger, like newer directors. It's kind of like they get put into this box of we expect this from you, but you know what? He's leaning into it really hard. He loves messing with color. He loves messing with time. And I think now we got to see him play a lot with interesting camera movement that he didn't play with quite as much in the previous 2 films. Story-wise, I think I'll have some stuff to say when we start deconstructing this. I think that was probably my least favorite part about it. But ultimately, I'm glad. I've been waiting for this movie for a really long time. It was noisy in my theater as well, Jeff. I went to just one of the regular large the biggest like regular digital theater in one of the theaters here, and it wasn't too noisy, but there were some moments where I think they were purposefully mixing it to try to do some things that I think worked. I think it worked. I'm excited to hear you guys talk about it, honestly, because when I walked out of The Witch, Jeff and I saw it together, and we were both like, "Whoa, that was awesome! What the fuck was that? I've never seen anything like that."
That
When I walked out of The Lighthouse,
yeah,
it's great. I went and saw The Lighthouse at God damn it, one of the good independent film theaters in New York City, and there were not many people in my theater, but everyone was like, "That was a really interesting, compelling art house horror movie." Don't know if that's going to do very well on a large scale, but I'm glad he got to make it. I'm glad I got to see it in, on a theater. And I kind of felt that way about this one. Robert Eggers is not for everyone. And I think it's been interesting to watch them market this with a $90 million plus budget and really trying to get his vision out there, which I'm always going to be thankful for. I am so happy there are people who are getting paid well and giving good budgets to try to make original stories for adults. I'm always going to be a big fan of that. But this is so extremely stylized, and I just don't know if it compensated for what I would say is a lack of storytelling ultimately. But I still liked it. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm somewhere in between the two of you. It seems like it was enthralling in many ways, especially visually. It was really interesting. I saw it drunk. I haven't seen a movie drunk in a while. I don't know how much of an effect.
How drunk are we talking? Like a couple drinks, or were you like
shots? Or...
yeah.
I had 4 pints, so not too drunk, I guess,
right.
but like
Yeah.
enough.
I mean, you had 4 pints before we even started the show, so.
No, I know. 4 pints. Oh no, and I had a glass of wine. Okay, so yeah, I'm really.
All right, yeah, you're.
I'm not exactly. I'm not putting Ian McKellen.
The Australian aperitif.
Was it? No, it was Richard Harris and Peter O'Toole got me beat. Probably they probably seen a lot of movies drunker than me.
I would imagine.
I thought the opening sequences were really fucking interesting. Way out there. I was so surprised. I was like, holy shit! Is Guillermo del Toro a producer on this shit for like for this one sequence that I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about? But maybe it was just Willem Dafoe, where I was like, wait a second, are we in Nightmare Alley again? Like with just like in a weird dystopian 1,000 years ago or something. It was really crazy. As far as the story, I do know what you're saying. I think it's difficult because the kingdom is small. There's only like 20 people there, so I think there's something to be said there. That's not a bad thing, obviously, but the epic scale that they set up for this thing,
yeah.
And then there was really not that much story, and what was there they did epically, but it really was small. So I guess it's probably closer to like opera.
Yeah, it was a small film shot like an epic.
Yeah, exactly. I know. This is not an opera podcast, but some of the most epic operas. Again, you don't have to obsess over seeing opera, but some of them have very little plot, but it's all an emotional journey. Like it's really like most of these arias are like, I feel really sad, so therefore I'll do this. And it's like
unlike an opera, this is not 3.5 hours long too.
Unlike, yeah, exactly. But it did kind of feel that way, and so, but I don't know if the emotional. I don't know if they covered that. I mean, obviously we knew it was emotional. I don't know if they covered it as well as an opera does with like a good fucking aria. I don't know if they got it the whole time. But at the same time, I was gripped. I really was gripped and compelled the whole time. And after that opening, I was always waiting for another stunning sequence for the majority of the film. So I was constantly waiting to see what's next. So I guess that's a good thing.
I want to bring that up again. I think let's wait till spoilers when we actually like deconstruct stuff, even though I don't think we're going to refer to specific things. But I like how you said, and we'll come back to that analogy about the aria, because I think it says a lot about what my issue was. But regardless, I'm in school right now. I watch tons of original material made by people. And this is just one of those examples where like we can pull the threads of what we thought could have been done better or whatever. But it's just so obvious when you're in the hands of a really, really brilliant filmmaker.
Oh, yeah.
Like he knows how to make a movie. Like he knows how to make it really, really compelling to sit down and watch images and sound, do something more than what they, it's not just story, which again, even though that might be my issue with it, that's how good of a filmmaker he is. If I was still able to sit there in the theater and say maybe the lack of character that I was kind of hoping for with each scene, it was still told in such a a gorgeous and artistic way that if you're not into that atmospheric and visual kind of thing and the art house, the most extreme kind of art house kind of style, you might really not like this movie. But I would challenge you. I bet you haven't seen a movie like this ever or in a long time, unless you follow the art house scene.
The one thing I do like about what I seem to be noticing a pattern of in The Witch, you can speak to whether it's the same in the Lighthouse, but the location ends up being a character in the story almost.
Yeah, totally, dude.
And like essential to the story in some way, like that. Every one of them has a specific location that once it gets there, it locks down to.
That's probably really a pain in the ass to film there too, because it was so cloudy. It probably rained all the time, and I'm sure they had a fucking meteorologist tell them where the sun was going to be all the time.
The grips are like, do I pull a diffuser out today? No, don't worry about it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I love the authenticity. Let's give it up for that. Him and I wanted to look up this man's name. I have heard this pronounced on the Team Deacons podcast. I'm going to fuck it up. Yaron Blachky, or his cinematographer and teammate.
Yes.
They make everything together.
Yeah.
Co-creator. He's much more than just a cinematographer that he hires. They develop ideas together. Robert apparently does tend to do more of the writing, but Yaron or Jaron, however you say his name, sorry, man. He's right there beside him, and I love the authenticity. Their obsession with trying to prep and figure out the right camera, the right lens, the right aesthetic, and they never, ever, ever, ever break their rules once they're in the film.
He also knows
the language of the film stays.
He also
consistent.
knows when to knock the framing off as well. Like you'll go from like what could be termed as standard cinematography to like an epic shot with just people in the bottom, and the location is huge behind them, and it's such a fantastic contrast to sit there and watch. It's very pleasing to the eye. I will say
Iceland the whole way. By the way, they filmed in Iceland everywhere.
On mine, like it's listed on IMDb as 2.35 aspect ratio. Was there an aspect ratio change in yours? Because mine was like 1.85 full frame. It didn't even fill the screen at one point.
Ooh.
Or did they just fuck up the projection? Because if you fuck up the settings, the ingest settings, it'll do that. But yeah, okay.
Mine looked consistent throughout, but I also, I don't know if you saw it in IMAX or Dolby.
Dolby.
It's not
Dolby
in IMAX.
Cinema.
You saw it in Dolby.
No, because fucking Dumbledore's took the fucking. If there was an IMAX, the Dumbledore's.
I don't think they. I think they purposefully did not release it in IMAX. Actually.
Well, there you go. Good time.
I don't think they created a IMAX release. I think they did something with the sound.
Yeah,
they wanted to keep it Dolby.
Good for them.
But anyway, it was really fun. And Dave, you're right, dude. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was saying you can tell with the separation of the drums and everything in the soundtrack. They definitely put that Dolby to good use.
Yeah, I think they probably want to. And again, I didn't see it in there, but I was going to say that you mentioned it earlier, told epically. It kind of made me think of The Revenant in a way, in a very different way, because The Revenant is, I would say, almost solely character driven. There, of course, it's Lubetsky. There's still some really beautiful shots. Him and Yurutsu can't help themselves, but it's so character driven. It's like, here's Leo this close to the film the whole time. So we don't get to see many movies like this. And the difference between these two is, I think you can have I don't know if The Revenant is popcorn movie. I'm not saying this is something you can't, The Northman is something you can only have fun with, but you can have a bucket of popcorn and enjoy yourself. Like the screaming, the naked, the blood.
Funny story about
The
Revenant. My aunt in Australia sent me a thing about how she loved bears. She'd love to give one a hug. So I sent her that clip from The Revenant. She's never watched to the end of it.
I love fucking little tangential note. I still love that as much as he has been begged in every interview, Iñárritu will not tell anybody how he shot that. They will not give out the dirt on how they achieved it. But yeah, let's keep going. Do you guys want to get spoilery, or did anybody want to give a gentle comment before we move in?
I just one thing I'd like to going back to what you were saying about it being character driven. I felt like the writing was very character driven as well when they were writing it, because you know how like you can get plot driven, character driven, and I felt like one of the reasons this appealed to me is because it was almost like the characters were making decisions, and if they'd made the other decision, they left it free to go in that other direction. There was nothing, like it didn't feel like the pieces were being moved. It felt like the story was being moved along by the characters' decisions, and that I think that's why this resonated better, because I really love that style. So it's fun to follow because it's like you can't predict. Like it's it's not like, oh, I can see where this plot's going. You can't predict which way that's going to go because that character could make an absolute bonehead decision here and go completely the opposite way.
That is true. There was an unpredictability about the characters, and I would say big comment is tension. I think the one thing that was present the entire time was there was always tension between the characters. I never felt safe, and I think that's a good thing that he achieved.
Cool.
All right, why don't we spoil the fuck out of this?
May have some criticism for that. Yeah, let's get in there.
Oh, John's coming at me. All right, come at me, film school, bruh. Let's do it. Let's send everybody away. If you're mowing the lawn, go ahead, turn that mower off for a second.
Go and watch this movie. Come back, finish the lawn and the podcast.
Yeah. See some bloody violence.
See. That's the funny thing. I didn't find this overly violent.
No, we did see some heads get chopped off, though.
Yeah.
All right, John, lay it out. What do you got for us?
What I've got for you is it's part of his style, so I'm not going to take away from it. And I'm not even saying this is objectively an issue, but I couldn't stop noticing it, which is probably not a great sign. I struggle with dialogue that is grounded in declarations and proclamations.
Yeah, it's a lot of that in this movie.
It's almost only that in this movie. and I just feel like there's a reason that Shakespeare.
Oh, we're going to Bill, huh?
I mean, there's a reason why Shakespeare gets away with that. He created a rule in his world of storytelling that exists for every single character he's ever written except for one. And even then, that character still uses that rule to their advantage, Iago. So this is a land in a universe of storytelling where people say exactly what they think because they're talking to us or they're to themselves and us as audience members. And I struggled time and time again in this movie that they kept saying everything they were thinking and that they wanted to do out loud. But it didn't feel like it was living in a land and a world where everybody spoke like that because the rule wasn't totally consistent. The movie starts with exchanges of dialogue. We can talk about Ethan Hawke, and I liked the opening and I enjoyed it.
He's having a good
year. But
as
soon as Skarsgård grew up, and which is basically the rest of the movie, it's most of the movie. I really did feel like I got kind of annoyed every time that I felt like they were going to start talking to each other because they just said exactly what they were going to do. And that started to just kind of frustrate me. And it started making me kind of yearn for this is almost like, I wonder what this would be like if they had just spoken in the original language and just literally, what if this would have been no subtitles and they just would have spoken in that language and it would have been a silent film truly set in this old language that we don't even understand anymore. That became more and more attractive to me. And he started playing with it towards the end. And I thought those were some of the most compelling moments when they were speaking it in the gates of hell at the very end and you didn't know what they were saying. I thought that was really cool. Sometimes it was subtitled. And then to your point, and I'm going to agree with this, there were some really, really cool ideas introduced in the name of, I think, Eggers trying to do what he likes to do best, which is contain it and make it small. When he basically outs the fact that there wasn't, that his father wasn't worth avenging and that the whole scheme was actually not some righteous cause.
Yeah.
I thought, I was like, whoa, holy shit, is he about to deconstruct Hamlet? This is going to be really, really exciting. He's going to take it back and make us just see the tragedy of what does it look like when revenge is soiled in something tainted and poisonous. It's not righteous at all. And they didn't go the distance. It turned into being something more predictable. He did follow it to the end, and it did just build to this giant fight between him and the uncle. And that let me down a little bit. And there were just a few examples of that where I guess I was kind of thinking he's starting to introduce ideas that are kind of subversive for what we think of as these kinds of legendary hero's journey tales. But I don't know if he fleshed them out enough. I think that it almost felt like he was no, we got to get these guys fighting in front of a volcano by the end of this movie. It's not going to become more about the deconstruction of this man's journey and him getting more of what he needs versus what he wants. I want to give him what he wants, and people are going to have to just bask in the spectacle of it. And I just felt I just felt a little underwhelmed.
That did abandon that theme. I'll grant you that one. I did find that it kind of told the story of on the path to revenge, dig two graves. effectively, which
Yeah.
was the main theme through the whole thing. And it I found that at the end of it, I felt exactly like one does at the end of a revenge quest. It wasn't entirely satisfying because you thought there was going to be this big moment, and no, they just killed each other, and you're like, oh, that was a bit of a letdown. But then it's like, well, that's kind of what happens at the end of a revenge quest. It never goes entirely the way you want it to.
There was
be.
no satisfying ending. Like, it was, he set up a situation where there was not going to be a satisfying ending.
Yeah.
But the want versus the need, I think in a lot of really good revenge tales, the character finally realizes at the very end, what have I done?
Yeah.
I got exactly
Shang-Chi.
what I wanted.
Oh my God, Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang-Chi. Sure. Yeah, exactly. The good, give me a good, what have I done moment, and I'm all about it. This never really got to the what have I done. It ended with him legitimately thinking, thank you, Anya Taylor Joy, for getting my seed and turning into having the next king and queen twins, and I'm just going to die here by this fire, and I got exactly what I wanted. And I don't know, it just didn't feel like there was enough conflict there for me to feel like it was character based.
I'm with you on that. First things first, the real winner here is Anya Taylor Joy's scheduler. I don't know if she's ever taken a vacation in her life. She's also had Peaky Blinders coming out. Last year was a huge year for her. Anyway, it is true because I wonder what this says. It's a bigger discussion, right? In the movie theater experience, I'm with you, where the conclusion of the film did not feel like the conclusion of The Witch. Not that they would be identical, it wouldn't be A to A anyway, but they did have similar motifs, right? They did have the similar like flying up to the sky imagery, and I didn't give a fuck.
That was
about
awesome.
that. I mean, it looked great, but it didn't. Whereas The Witch, you and I were like, holy shit at the ending. Whereas this time I was like, fine, he's going to Valhalla, but he really fucked over his family. Like, I did think that, and I couldn't help it. And I'm not saying it's nobody this proud, certainly in this time, which is the 10th century in fucking Iceland, nobody would go back, free all of the slaves, essentially, and then leave everybody except for him and walk away. Because we know in the 21st century, that would be baller. If you just took everything away from him and then left, so he had no family, no slaves, he was just alone on this island. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
But it's like he basically put himself in a situation where he was gonna die. Like the odds of him, I guess he could have won and gone home, but the odds were very likely of that, and that is a little bit of a bummer. But I think it does say something about this idea of the quest, where it's like, why do we need? It's a tale as old as time. How many people went out on a quest and they knew it was usually hopeless, and they were right, and that's the end.
But the quest is supposed to. I'm not saying. All right, I shouldn't have said supposed to, but even if he was trying to subvert the quest tale, a quest typically changes the main character.
He was changed.
It changes them.
No, he wasn't. Well, I don't know.
I don't think he was changed at all by the end. And you know what? The one person. Let's go to bat. He chose, which right? Make a choice.
He had sex twice, and he was like, I'm good. Good, let's die. I don't. All right,
Anya Taylor Joy. That's another good example. I felt like she was. First of all, it was another one of those ideas. I didn't need them to have love in there. Like I thought he was like. It was really interesting how he presented their meeting, and I thought it bothered me that he like just told her everything he was thinking and planned on doing to this stranger in a boat. But I was trying to get past that, and I thought that was like, okay, she's going to be the agent, the catalyst of change in his life.
It's because of the journey. I think he knew, right, that it was going to be her, and maybe he just assumed it was her. Anyway,
I don't know, but I felt like I think that was another opportunity for them to say like. It didn't need to be like so like romantic. Like what an interesting thing to say. Like this, sometimes this is how people met back then. The culture was so different. The world was so different. And they met each other. They were companions. They had sex. And then I don't know. The love stuff felt like it was a little unnecessary and forced. And again, because of that, it had to be proclaimed, which was just kind of got annoying to me that it was just like riding on these proclamations. Yeah, I know.
Let him get to the end of that. It is a good point. But
I don't think she was utilized. I don't think she was utilized well enough.
That's probably fair. I was waiting for her to do something like, because they played the line a lot in this earlier on. Later on, it really goes off for that. But they played the line a lot of like, are the gods there messing with people, or is all this just coincidence? Is he seeing this? Is he not? And I kind of really I'm big on Norse mythology, love it. And then like the one scene with the crows where they come and they peck away, and it's like it could be just crows pecking at that because there's blood on the rope. And I'm like, cool. And he falls on the ground, and then the camera pans up, and I'm like, all right, we're fucking all in. Like there's a hooded figure of like Odin standing there above him. I'm like, okay, the gods are definitely messing with people. But up until that point, I was like, is the god part in his head, or is the god part actually like happening? Are they down here messing with people's quests and like influencing, meddling? And I felt that was that thread itself was very well played.
What about the idea of because obviously the supernatural is an element of this, and they believe in it, right? The whole idea of Odin and Valhalla, but to have what do you think about that one Pirates? I'll call it the Pirates of the Caribbean sequence where you can't go into the light, but then the thing comes back from the dead, and they're having this battle, and one person's undead. Like, what did you think about the supernatural?
Well, I thought that played that well. Like that again, that's another part where the cinematography played into it as well. Because at the end of that fight, they literally hold on him, and then the camera pans in a one back to him still standing there.
How strange!
And and it was Did he experience that? Did that happen? Was that played out in his head? Was that played out somewhere else? Like it was a very confusing moment, and I loved it because it made me think about it. And then it wasn't until later where it was like, they start revealing how much these gods are meddling that I was like, I'm on board with this, like, because they set it up to the point where you're questioning.
I think that worked really well for me too. And Dave, I'm glad that kind of connected some dots for me. Like the elements of this story, that being one, that scene, like the supernatural things, or the hallucinogenic aspects, the let's call it the mystic aspects. Let's not say supernatural. Let's say mystic. Okay. Like the beginning sequence was really cool to me. That they were trying to create this world where even men and women of ancient times were believing in these higher ideas and these legends, these gods, but it was still grounded in like all they could do to get there, which was trip on mushrooms and have these coming of age ceremonies. But it was still so the contrast between that and the death that was always like right around the corner. It was grounding for me. And then I feel like at some point they did kind of abandon that. And they started from the god's perspective, from the director's perspective, showing us Valkyries taking him on journeys and stuff. And I was like, what's happening? It kind of went, I wanted it to go more, and this is just one of those annoying things. I think I was sitting there in the theater wanting it to go in a more of a grounded sense. And then we were going to project all of the legendary epic quest stuff onto it as soon as they became human beings. And I think he skirted away from that. I think he decided to try to tell the legends. And you know what? It just made me think about how difficult it is to tell legendary parable, kind of questy. And it made me just think about the classics. Like, not that we've ever seen like a good recent telling of the Odyssey, like as is. We've seen a lot of cool adaptations. But what's so brilliant about Homer's works is that they do become completely about what the character is going through. It's these amazing spectacle events that are fun to read. It has to be. It's hours and hours long. But ultimately, it's about Odysseus going through that and having to actually learn what is he trying to achieve and who is he going to become once he's done with it. And can he find his way back to what he ultimately needs, which is not to succeed in these giant things, but to be the person that can come home to his wife. And I don't know, I guess I think he may have fallen into the trap of the epic. It just kind of stayed in this archetypal legendary place. And we are really good as audience members at creating that for ourselves when you make us relate to them. And I just never felt like I could relate to this screaming, giant, angry guy who was just getting further and further away from what he needed to learn all the way up until the end. That was a kick-ass fight at the end, but it was kind of like the opposite of what I thought we were supposed to feel for him at that time.
I want to circle back to what I was saying about how the story is actually small. So I thought, track me. So it opens with, and I just watched the first episode of The Last Kingdom, which is also Norse mythology, obviously way, way later, but because that was like 1400s, I guess. So this is way before then. But even that, which is a TV show, had 100 extras. So it looked huge, right? So it looked like they were fighting over something big. This opened, it made it seem like an important king was coming home. It actually, I was going back and forth between The Last Duel and The Green Knight, and it's not about comparisons and stuff. The Green Knight with the mystic stuff, and The Last Duel just with the, like, do these people like each other? What are their relationships? Why do they seem to be changing a lot, as you know, Dave? So Ethan Hawke comes home, he's the king, and he doesn't want to have sex with, fine, he just came back from war with Nicole Kidman's character. But they immediately go trip balls with fucking the fool, who's played by Willem Dafoe. And so the three of them,
unrecognizable too, till they did a close up on his eyes.
oh my god, that was so odd.
You can't mistake those eyes though.
they're wolves, and there's this whole legacy thing. Like, it's so obvious that it's almost like their fate is written in the stars. Like, they're so epic. The whole all the proportions were like, oh, this isn't just the war. This is like timeless. This is like centuries connecting. They're like the fucking Windsors of the North mythology here. And then and he yada yada yada, et cetera, et cetera. He becomes a slave. He comes back, and then there's like 10 people in 2 houses, and then they keep being like, "Who's killing everybody?" And I'm like, okay, maybe the one guy who's like 6'4" and strong. I don't know who else.
No, dude, that was. Come on, give me a break.
So I'm not just being negative to agree with you. I'm just saying, like, the one thing. I'm not done my point. But seriously, the one thing I'm curious about though is it seemed like they set up this fucking epic, which they did. And he was the heir to this, and that was taken from him. And then he went back, and then there was nothing there. So at the same time, I understand him going back in the battle, kind of contrary to what I said before, because it's like, this is my legacy. So I'll die here if I have to, but why would I be a dad somewhere else? Why would I just like raise kids somewhere else? This is my fucking home, and if I die taking it back and it's just ashes, then I'm gonna do that. That's a story we've seen before too. But it's not an epic place. It really seems like he's fighting over a farm at the end, you know. And I do.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're not even kings anymore.
I don't know what they were.
Right? That was kind of confusing to me.
Yeah, the whole kingdom's gone. He's just
the whole kingdom's gone.
That's the thing. Like,
maybe that's why they don't want us to understand anything. All these words. No, and I was like, I don't know. This seems cool. I guess they're gonna kill some people tonight. That's pretty cool. But ultimately, the grand scheme of things, I was like, what are we fighting over right now? What is this?
That character, that revenge-seeking character, he gets every single motivation for his revenge stripped away from him, but goes through with it anyway because he's told that's his fate.
Yeah, and I do get that. I do get it, and I think it was all there. And it was very exciting. It was exciting in the theater. It was done really well. I think the sound. I think the way it was shot, as you've talked about a million. We talked about it like actually we haven't talked about it enough, but it was shot so fucking well, so epic, so massive. But also it does feel like they were hiding the fact that there's really not. It's really a small story. I feel like they were hiding behind that. Not like one huge idea locked among a small number of people.
Which again is, guys, we're all Stephen King fans, right? Mm-hmm. I've been thinking a lot about him recently. Girlfriend just read first Stephen King, and she had a great experience. And we were just talking about that thing. The three of us, Green Mile. That was her first one, dude. How fucking good is that? Yeah.
I bought that in the little installments when it came out.
Dude, fuck yeah, all 6, nice, dude. Yeah, good for you. So what the three of us have waxed long times on. I think we saw one of the It's together, and we all were kind of talking about how like that thing he can do. He can turn any small situation with just no bodies. Oh shit! Come on. He can turn any small situation, small town, no bodies. There's no IP attached to it. It's just an idea and it's a story. And as long as you concentrate enough on what these characters are going through, life begins to seem epic. And I just feel like this was the example of like the opposite. When you project epicness onto something that isn't actually, and you don't equally develop the stakes and the emotional turmoil and the conflict and I don't know. I think it just, at some point, it just feels like it's sitting on top of it and you're supposed to believe it as opposed to it arising from it.
I think I can tell you why you're having trouble there. Because with King, it's usually two ideas meshed together. And 2 very contradictory ideas. What if this and this? And in this case, it wasn't. It was one idea that consistently the whole way through, just one driving force. There was no secondary thing to
Don't you
divert.
Think but he did do, because I don't want to discredit him. Like, I thought introducing all the initial introduction to most of this Alexander Skarsgård's obstacles were very interesting to me. The fact when he learns very early on, you learn very early when he's an adult that the kingdom doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That his fucking stepdad, his the guy, his uncle who took the fucking everything from him, doesn't even rule anymore. And it's they're like shamefully running a fucking sheep farm. That was really cool. The introduction of Anya Taylor Joy, and I don't like how it was introduced, but the idea of her character being a mystic earthen person who worships different gods,
Was she
and that
mystic?
was acceptable.
They like half-assed the mysticness for me.
I think so too.
Her
that was a really
her
good
last
idea.
name was of the birch
introduction,
forest, dude.
Okay.
Sure.
Why
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
I? Why didn't
I like that.
No,
All right.
I get. She played it well. I feel like it wasn't. They showed us real
It's
mysticism.
one of many, though. That's what I'm saying, though. It's one of many. The fact that there were other sons involved and that was, they kind of brushed by that. When she asked him, Anya Taylor Joy was like, what are you going to do with the kids? He was like, I'll let them live. But then we didn't really explore it anymore. That was going to be a really interesting obstacle. Are my half siblings to blame for that? And there's every time they introduce something, I was like, oh my God, they're going to deconstruct. They're going to deconstruct. What happens when the progeny of the divine line of the king is interrupted thematically? And it just they didn't do it. They never exercised all those ideas fully. And it just stayed. Dave, I totally agree with you. And if that was his idea, he accomplished it. But I think by having a bulldozer of that one idea move through those things and not have to deal with them, I think it actually lessened the bulldozing. It made it less intense when he wasn't as affected by those obstacles. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it, even all the way up to the amazing fucking naked cockfight in front of a volcano. That was fucking awesome. I just wish he felt really guilty about it.
I forgot they were naked.
There were constructive shadows in there.
Oh, come on. How much more interesting would that fight have been if he felt terrible about it, but that he couldn't help himself? And I don't think he felt terrible about it. I think he wanted to fucking fight that guy. And he wanted
to fight him. Drink your beer.
Come on. Even at the end of fucking
disagree.
Lion King, there was more conflict in that final fight.
Don't you fucking bring Lion King to this. That is a fucking fantastic movie.
No, so I'm saying, like, right? Like, you're going to mess with it. This was obviously
Don't say even in Lion King. Like, that's all you know what? Fuck you. Just say even in Lion King. Lion King was Hans Zimmer's requiem for his fucking father. Yeah, they had fucking good conflict at the end. They didn't fuck around.
Jesus.
Do you not think this? Let me ask you a question. Do you think that this was influenced by Hamlet?
I think Shakespeare's in everything that we.
I mean, there were definitely some influences there, I think.
Because there's also Macbeth in there with the witches and the seers. So.
John's so far brought up Shakespeare and Homer. There's homework for this week, kids.
Look, dude, you can't play with these fucking ingredients that he loves to play with and not reference these things, right? And absolutely. I haven't read enough fucking Nordic lore and legendary. One of our good friend Al Hoverman really, really loves a lot of those legends, and I've heard that they're really fun, but I don't understand the telling of them. Maybe this is exactly how they're told, and I'm just the idiot in the room, and I just didn't
read
get
Neil
it.
Gaiman's one. It's fun. Neil Gaiman's North.
What's it called?
It's Neil Gaiman's North mythology, I think. But it's a retelling of some of the.
Wrote some mythology.
Dude, that guy's written everything. I'm going to see him Friday night.
Wait, I'm a fucking dick. Let's fucking celebrate the technical. Let's just celebrate what the fuck they did in like 3 locations. Like, honestly, they weren't too many places.
Nope.
How did they achieve? Let's play with this one first, because this is very specific. And it was the first time I was like, oh, how did they do that? When we get to the land of the Russ, it's the second act. The opening is this awesome shot where some boats with, they're not Vikings, but these people, these warriors are going by on this boat, and the camera pushes in toward the boat, and it goes over the river, and then it turns 90 degrees, and it's on the boat. And I was like, how the fuck did they hand off that fucking camera? They must have had a wire over the river or a crane, and then somebody snagged it.
With the handles. Like the handle mounts, usually you have a camera operator each. It comes in, they'll hook it onto a crane. The crane will go out, and then the camera op in the boat will take it off the hook. Yeah,
it was seamless. It was so effective that they didn't try to make it look like one visual perspective, though. Like the fact that it goes over the river, the boat passes beyond us, and then we just turn and we're on the boat.
Yep.
I thought that was so
it
cool.
might have been a composite as well. I haven't seen the special features on how they did that, because you can actually composite that stuff now as well in frame.
I hope so, because if you fuck up that handoff, it's It's really hard to go ahead and paddle back upstream.
Well, you saw the one from
takes.
1917.
We lost
right?
an Ari.
Which is a 3 Weird short. Shit.
They are definitely insured.
Sure, God damn it.
They're definitely insured, but I wonder what their quote is saying. Oh, we're just going to go over some moving rivers. And it's like, okay, wait, we need a new quote.
We're going to put this on a clamp and a wire, run it out over the river, and someone's going to pick it up in a canoe. Yeah, your insurance is $100 million. Yeah.
That was really beautiful.
Yeah.
What were some of your favorite technical moments, especially the practical? Because I really do appreciate all the really practical elements, the long takes.
Aside from the random cuts to the really extreme wides with like everyone just in the bottom of it, so it showed like almost a journey and stuff like that. I really dug the rolling pans they did, where they tracked the camera sideways, like they track sideways, and it was a one-er. Or it was meant to look like a one-er. It was convincing as a one-er. So they've just followed the action and followed the action, and it just keeps going. And then I haven't seen that since
that first battle.
It's like Vietnamese film does it a lot, or they used to. I haven't seen much modern Vietnamese film, but they'll
specifically.
I've seen. There was Scent of Green Papaya, I believe it was called, and they did a tracking shot where a guy walked in a building and they tracked with him all the way through the house as he walked, and it was, and then they swapped characters and followed the other one back, and it was a beautiful shot. It was like all this giant one-er.
I couldn't help but think of Old Boy a little bit when we were watching that first battle scene. It was almost on the same line. It did eventually move and go perpendicular, but the attack, the climbing up the wall, the first few attacks were just totally on one single. It looked like, I'm sure they were walking it, but it looked like track. It was really smooth. So whoever did Steadicam on this they got their fucking money's worth with that guy, because
it
was
might have
fucking
been
beautiful.
track.
How did you like that? Both of you guys, like aesthetically? Do you think that worked with the real calm and steady, grounded camera, very kind of creepily moving through these really intense, bloody, violent battles?
I noticed it, so I'm in two minds. It's like I probably shouldn't have noticed it, but I noticed it because
that's exactly what I was thinking, dude. Yeah, I don't know if it's because we're just constantly thinking about the sausage is made, but when the sausage is made well, I don't think about it. So that is what made.
Did you think about it in The Revenant? Because the Revenant did that a lot for me. I mean, it was handheld sometimes, obviously, but there were a lot of times
in the least compelling moments, I was thinking of like, God, how long did it take you guys to stage this fight? It's never a good sign, right? Where you're thinking about like the camera, like now I know there's a camera.
To throw back to something like 1917, which is done in a whole giant one-er. I was thinking about where the joins were for about the first 5 minutes of that film, and then I was gone.
And then you forgot about me too.
But even let's use 1917 as an example. When that plane comes over the ridge and crashes, I was like, everybody run! Like I stopped thinking about the camera, even though I knew there was like, how did they do that? How did they get that shot? That's beautiful. But I also was like, get out of the way. What are they going to do? There's a plane coming. So, and some of the most compelling moments where they were going across no man's land and stuff, I stopped thinking, how are they getting this amazing one-er?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, look at the character, look at what's happening to these people. And we have the ability to watch them the whole time.
Yep.
Most of the cinematography in this movie, The Northman, I wasn't thinking, but there were just a couple where I was like, that was a little too sexy. It may have been too sexy, you guys. I'm thinking just a little bit about your achievement.
Broke style a little bit because you thought of something good. But yeah.
Did you guys like the naked dancing, chanting? That he loves doing stuff like that. Like, let's just park a camera and let's let people do this ceremony in front of us, and we'll just kind of move in when it's time. Did that whole scene work for you at the beginning when we first see him as an adult?
Yeah, it's just that whenever you take Willem Dafoe's pants off, it's just like everybody is just like, are we gonna see it? Are we gonna fucking see it now? Is today the day?
That's a conversation.
Jeff's really disappointed that we did not get to see Willem Dafoe's penis in this movie.
It's fucking legendary. Lars von Trier told the whole world about this, and then apparently Francis Ford Coppola talked about. Apparently, not Coppola, Oliver Stone. Like, apparently, I'm just. It's okay. Like, it doesn't matter.
It's a distractingly large penis.
The size.
Hey, everybody's seen Big Little Lies now. I think that's my theory on why they couldn't let him go totally naked for the ending fight at the gates of hell, because Skarsgård had two fucking hands on that thing and Big Little Lies. Do you remember that scene where she hits it with a tennis racket? Oh, Jeff, you never saw Big Little Lies? You're
I
looking
saw
at
the
me
first
with
season. Are you talking
ignorance
about?
here.
Is this the second season?
First season where Nicole Kidman hits it with the tennis racket and breaks it, and he holds it with his like two. Oh,
Wait,
come on! You don't remember that scene?
No, I'm
thought-
sure.
I thought it was his.
I probably
I
will
thought
say I will.
probably thought he was faking.
I will raise you. I will raise you more naked men. I wish that there were moments in this amazing fight in front of a fucking volcano. It was done so beautifully. It was so
Why
cool.
couldn't
But
there
it
have
was
just been
obvious to
one
me
cock?
what they were supposed to be naked. Why were they wearing? They were very clearly wearing some kind of underwear or shorts in a lot of the silhouette wides. And I was like, let the dicks sling, you guys. Like, we know what's happening here. Let's just we have earned a bunch of naked slinging dick in this silhouettes. Like, let's just
I
go
was
for it.
watching
No
that. I
buzz
was
for
like,
that.
are they naked
No
or
buzz for
not?
that.
I saw lights.
They were totally
I saw lights reflecting off sweaty ass.
ass. Yes, exactly. And that's my problem. It's like, you can't show us like ass and not really. If they're naked,
If we
then
go
where
down
the
the
fuck
rabbit
are their
hole, dude,
dicks?
I'm
Like, come
going
on,
in.
let's just
Like,
go for it. You know what? Do you guys remember history of?
I mean,
excuse me, Eastern
if
Promises.
you're naked in a sword fight, you tough,
Promises.
dude.
That's a badass.
Promises
No way,
2007, I
dude.
guess. Yeah, well,
Eastern
actually,
Promises,
don't
the
be naked
fucking
in a
the
fight, 'cause
Turkish bath,
you win the
fucking
fight, but
naked
lose your
sword
dick,
fight.
I mean.
Get out of here. That's the whole point. Everything is on the line here. We're in front of a volcano.
Yeah.
Everything could get burned. Everything could get chopped
No,
off.
even in a fight
Hello.
to the death, nothing
My
below
name
the
is
belt.
Inigo Montoya. Check out my dick.
Yeah, right. What if they
Okay,
do that?
no. Different movie. Different movie.
Yeah.
You're welcome, world, for those 3.5 minutes where we just talked about naked
Also,
penis
I
and
feel
how
dirty
we
about
wanted more
mine.
of it in the Northman. Oh, David. Sean. All right. What else you got?
I think that's it. I wish I knew a little bit more about what they were working on. I think there was a lot of labor going on, and I was like, what are we doing here? But otherwise, I still really I liked it. I liked it in the theater, so I'm curious about what my rewatch
Just didn't
was.
seem like there was enough of an estate for
Well,
them
it's
to
like,
need
okay,
that many
tonight's
slaves.
the
Like,
night.
what
All we
were
have to
they-
do is get through this day. What are we doing today? I don't know. You go to the house. I'll
Honestly,
I
what
don't know,
was
dig,
it?
I'll dig
It
something
was-
out here.
Didn't they say it was a sheep farm at one point? I didn't see any.
So they were farming.
I have no idea. Honestly,
This
I'm with
epic
you, dude.
movie
That-
about this
that-
guy reclaiming his thing.
Yeah,
He was
I'm not sure
He was
what-
helping someone like put up a fence. Like
I really
I'm so
don't.
very
I honestly,
confused.
that is. I know that sounds like. I'm glad you brought it up. Like, what was going on their land? I don't even know.
All the
that nobody
nights
ever
were
left
great.
to sell anything. They didn't produce anything. I don't understand
maybe it
what
was good.
happening.
Where I was like, every day I just hope he has a conversation with Anya Taylor Joy because she seems important, and every night I hope someone dies. And if those two things happen, I'm happy. And they set up this world, and I exist. However, if I rewatch this movie, I feel like it's not gonna hold up as much if I rewatch the movie. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll have to see. Time will tell.
Well, we've had a good
that's-
talk about
that's
it.
about
I
it.
complained a bunch. But I think it was all valid, and I will still stand by the fact that I'm glad he got to make his big movie. I hope they keep giving him money because it is a real
We
vision.
forgot to say early on that they did a test audience, and nobody in the test audience knew what anybody was saying, so they had to had to do voiceover or reshoot it so that you could actually understand what they were
Oh,
saying. I know, John,
no.
you said you're happy that they didn't understand what they were saying, but if I didn't understand what they were doing and I could understand them, like I like watching, I like watching
do
things
think it
in
would have been
Spanish
more
and stuff,
interesting.
and like not reading the subtitles, or if there's no.
Yeah,
I, like
I think that
kind
would
of
have
shit.
been a cool movie if they had done that. If he had really had the balls to just say like, fuck it, it's going to be in this ancient language and I'm not subtitling shit. I think that would have been next fucking level badass. Like,
And
I don't
people
care if
would
they
have
were
loved it.
declaring anything. We really fast before we finish, because we didn't talk about it at all. We talked about Anya a little bit, but there's a big famous cast in here. Do you guys want to call out anybody? I didn't know Ethan Hawke was in this movie.
I know.
Did you know
He
that?
was unrecognizable. Like I was like, at first I saw him and I was like, saw him in close up. I'm like, is that Ethan Hawke? But like, obviously
that
he's
was
on
cool.
TV
He
at the
was
moment
good.
in Moon Knight. So I was
Moon
like,
Knight,
yeah.
Mm.
He's having a great
I
year.
liked it.
Yeah, I thought he was.
I think the only
fantastic. He was-
casting-
if you're casting something and you're like you have to look that close to go, is that actor? Everyone's done a phenomenal job on that.
Especially when you've done it for
Including
like
him.
10 minutes.
Exactly. And that is the exact reason why I don't know if Nicole Kidman was the best casting choice. She's a wonderful actress. She's wonderful.
Especially because you
But I
see it
think
5 minutes before the film
I didn't
starts.
have to do as Yeah. Also, this is the first time I've been in the theater since she does that thing.
Let me go.
But because of what you just said, like there wasn't one moment where I thought, "Is that Nicole Kidman?" Like it was so obvious. There's a giant fucking star. Like you kind of, Alexander Skarsgård, you're gonna get on board.
It was nice to see her get a little bit down and dirty with the betrayal aspect.
It was, but if I'm being honest, I wish it was. I wish it was a lesser known actor. I think that would have been more effective for me to disappear into the world because I was like, there's Nicole Kidman. Like there's just no way around it. Whereas you're totally right. I spent the first 10 minutes being like, is that Ethan Hawke?
Yeah.
That is Ethan Hawke. God, this is good. I was like, oh, no, this is fucking awesome. Is that Willem Dafoe? What the hell is happening? Like,
and then you're
so
like,
transformative.
That's Nicole Kidman because betrayal feels good in a place like this.
Anya, I knew it was her. Yeah, buzz yourself. Anya, I knew it was her, of course, and it didn't matter. I just wish he had done more with her character because I just want more of her. She's just, what the hell? She is a fucking a real beast.
Take a vacation, Anya. Just pick one good movie next year, and just like you're good. We'll remember you in 2 years if it doesn't go well. Like it's okay. She needs a break.
Yeah, you're in the club. Just take care of yourself.
Peaky Blinders season 6. Like okay,
guys, when are we getting together? When are we getting together for our naked wolf ceremony where we become warriors?
I got 3 days in LA coming up.
You do?
Let's do it, dude. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
On the way back from Australia, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Fuck.
Yeah, wolf ceremony in MacArthur Park. I'm there.
No subtitles.
No subtitles.
All right. If anybody's actually still listening to this, I'm going to Tribeca Film Festival. My brother brought me an 8-movie pass. 8. I have to go see. I'm seeing 8 movies. I didn't mean to say I'm going to see. So if anybody wants to recommend any of the movies that are happening in Tribeca for me to see, I have 2 days to sign up for them. In 2 days is when
good for you, dude. Congrats, man.
That's a good present.
I need to figure out what to see.
That'll be fun. Dave and I went to one. That's the most I've ever gone to Tribeca, but it's a cool festival.
Dude, that was fun too. We hung with everyone afterwards.
It was fun.
Yeah,
that was a pretty fun screening. Yeah,
it's hybrid, some virtual, some in person. So we'll see. But it's in June.
Cool. Go in person though, dude.
Yeah,
go in person for sure, right?
All right, let's wrap this up. We always wrap up our episodes with a quick round of what you've been watching. Dave.
Oh, I got a few this week. I checked out.
You didn't watch shit last week. I heard your episode. You're like, I got nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing. Yeah,
I was like, Dave, I
made up for it this week. I watched The Out of Range on Amazon. It's kind of like
Josh Brolin.
Yeah, they're describing it as Yellowstone meets Supernatural, and it's the episode structure is kind of like Walking Dead, where it's like drama, somebody's angry, drama. Oh shit, what the fuck was that? And I'll watch it next week. So like it is a bit slow, but it really grabs you. It's a good one. I also had the good fortune to be able to check out The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
All right, talk to us.
Yeah, talk to us, dude.
Like
it's
whatever you think it is, it's not. It's fun. It's heartfelt. It's a lot of the funny stuff they show in the trailer, but there are a couple of gems hidden in there. But it's definitely one you just like don't expect a lot. Just go ahead and have fun with it. And it's a fucking great premise. And I want to say that like Pedro Pascal steals the fucking movie. Like I am willing to fight Nick Cage for his love right now.
To be honest, I thought it was going to be fun and heartfelt and to have low expectations, and that Pedro Pascal was going to steal the show. So that's what I thought.
You're on point. You're on point. And just yesterday, I watched the Forever Purge, which I think they put on HBO Max recently. It's the latest Purge movie.
HBO?
Yes. No, it got a cinema run, but it's just dropped on HBO Max, and it's probably the second best Purge movie they've released.
Out of how many?
I don't know, 5, 6, 34, fuck knows.
Which is your favorite?
The first one is the first one is
the first one. Yeah.
After that, it was kind of up and down, and they were just repeating themselves. This is something different, a little bit. Yeah, that's me.
Premise has legs. If they wanted to go there, they could make a dramatic version of that.
I think it lasted a season.
I mean, it's basically what's going to happen when Elon Musk buys Twitter. So.
Yeah, it's just the purge, the turge. The twurge. Nice, dude. I'm jealous I didn't go see that movie. Our friend Chris Hurt from last week's episode, I talked to him, he went and saw it, and he said his whole fucking theater was cheering at the end. Oh, yeah. Like, everybody was all in, having a great time.
It's ridiculous by the end. It's amazing.
Nice. I rewatched Green Mile. Still stayed.
That's a
some of
nice
the
little
main-
lighthearted flick, huh?
Yeah. I watched that because she finished the book last night. It was really fun. Staying with the Nancy Myers kick, we were still going with that a little bit. Yeah, I'll take the heat, whatever. We watched What Women Want. I know the main
Nice.
actor in that movie is not everybody's favorite,
he's
but
back.
it's still
He's
very
back.
he's back. Still very charming. Very charming movie. And then I finally watched, and I'm going to admit to this, I had not seen this, Being There. Hal Ashby directed Peter Sellers in Being There. Kind of a precursor to a Forrest Gump kind of character, a person with a certain mental state finds themselves being thwarted into the highest levels of society and sought after by the president of the United States and the richest man in the world and journalists. And it's just a really fun subversion and a really amazing ending. It's worth watching for sure. Really lovely film. So that was probably my biggest recommendation. It's been on my list for years. I love Peter Sellers. It's slow, but as a lot of the movies from the 70s are. I think that was 79. But
I think we're coming back to
movie.
that. A lot of things these days are a little bit slower, and I'm kind of enjoying it. We all
Hey,
slowed,
let's
we all
go
slowed
now,
down
right?
during the
I'm all for it.
pandemic. So
I would fucking love that. How about you, Joe?
So I didn't see you guys last week. I've entered my week/2 weeks of hell for my grad school semester. It's sort of my last full semester. I just have a 3-credit independent.
Cheers to your lack of sleep.
Yeah. So
Was that the opening to the Northman? God, in the beginning. What was that? The fucking like throat singing dialogue. Dude.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's so funny.
Will go to the beginning.
That's so funny. TV. I'm back to TV, watching things around the apartment while I'm, killing time, working out.
like people out the windows or shows.
It's on my television.
That was not meant to be a trick question.
So I had started Severance when we did our Sonic episode, and I finished Severance, and holy
So
shit!
good.
It's been a while
it's
since
so
I've
good.
seen a show where I was like, this should just end after one season, like Homeland, and then it doesn't. They clearly end with a cliffhanger, and I went, oh fuck, and like it's like. They nailed that cliffhanger. Yeah, in a good way. Like, and they nailed that.
Okay.
Because I really was like ready for them to start giving me some answers and start wrapping it up, and then they end on a cliffhanger. Not to spoil it, but just know that there's another season coming. But going into award season, this is like the award season dump right now. Severance is it's amazing. It's gonna be.
That's what Chris said. Yeah, he loves it.
And then I'm still into like these shows about real life things. Sorry, writers, but good stories are good stories. You know what I mean? And like the fact that you have The Dropout. Super pumped, and We Crashed all at the same time is like clearly Emmy Dumb season, but also like these are really good stories. We love unicorns that crash. We love it. And so I had been watching We Crashed. I still have one episode to go, but I started Super Pumped just like casually, and it's the weakest out of the shows. I don't know what's happened to Brian Koppelman and his writer, but they have this formula that they just need to chill the fuck out on, of like giving sports references and pop culture references to every character no matter what for no reason. But so it's definitely like the weakest like scene writing of all of them, but it's just such a good story. This Uber founder is such a dickhead, and he just fucked everything up, even though it's such a good product and a good company. So
Yep.
I've been watching that like casually,
I canceled my account for
Dude,
some
I watched
time, actually.
Jeffrey, you still going? I didn't mention the TV, but I did. I'm caught up on Winning Time. I'm still having a great time.
Oh,
watching
I forgot about last night's because I was on a dirge. Is that the right word? Is a dirge the right word?
I mean, if
What's
you're
it- what
having
is
a
it?
I don't know
funeral,
what that
yeah.
means.
What is it? What does dirge mean?
It's a funeral song.
It's a funeral
Oh
song.
wow! Is it like from like
Lament for the Dead. Okay, so it was. I didn't have a dirge last night.
It's like a madrigal lament for the dead. like a very specific.
We are the
period.
family madrigal. No, I didn't watch it yet, but I still like it,
Okay,
even
you
though
haven't watched that.
I still like
also-
it, even though the episode 2 weeks ago was probably my least favorite of the season, but it ended really well, and I don't care about the inaccuracies. I know that there are some, but whatever.
My last. I forgot about this entirely, but I watched and I am caught up on Julia. Very, very charming show. If you like about Julia Child, it's on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyone who loves that kind of world, like half the cast of Frasier is in that fucking show, which is really enjoyable.
Nice.
And yeah, really charming. Any foodies out there, come at me. Think you guys would like it.
Well, our recommendation section is long.
Sjón!
So this is great. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for sticking with us. Northman.
I'm changing the buzz of that next
We have
week.
to
No explanation.
hashtag. You have to hashtag Sjón. You have to give that guy a shout out.
I don't remember how I said it, so I have to. I'm sure I spiked my microphone. But okay, thank you so much,
named
film fans.
Sjón.
We'll talk about something next week. I know it for sure, and we'll see you soon. Take it easy, film fans.
Peace.